Civil war is coming to the US. The American Civil War was a civil war in the United States. It was fought between the Union and the Confederacy, the latter formed by states that had seceded. Robert Edward Lee was a Confederate general during the American Civil War, towards the end of which he was appointed the overall commander of the Confederate States Army, and he surrendered his army on 4/9/1865. From that date until Queen Elizabeth II died, which was 9/8/2022, is a span of exactly 1,889 months. And Adolf Hitler, who was an Austrian-born German politician who was the dictator of Germany from 1933 until his suicide in 1945, was born 1889. Queen Elizabeth II died at age 96, and Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his army on 96 date numerology pure. 4 + 9 + 18 + 65 gets you 96. The Queen's Jubilee lasted 96 hours, which is 4 days, which connects to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Queen Elizabeth II died 911 days after coronavirus was declared a global pandemic. Her husband, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, he died 4/9/2021 at age 99 on the 99th day of the year. Prince Philip retired from his royal duties at age 96. Prince Philip died exactly 156 years after Robert Edward Lee surrendered. Prince Philip died at age 99 on the 99th day of the year, and 9 times 11 gets you 99. Something huge is about to happen, guys. 9/11 is the 156 prime number. So Queen Elizabeth dies 911 days after coronavirus is declared a global pandemic, and her husband Prince Philip dies exactly 156 years after Robert Edward Lee surrendered. Guys, Robert Edward Lee is this guy here. Okay? He's regarded as a hero, guys. What did Confederate General Robert E. Lee do? Robert E. Lee was a Confederate general who led the South's attempt at secession during the Civil War. He challenged Union forces during the war's bloodiest battles, including Antietam and Gettysburg, before surrendering to Union General Ulysses S. Notice we see Union here. And then you have Union Berlin in the Bundesliga, which connects to the Berlin Wall, which connects to Hitler, which connects to World War II. So in Gematria, Civil War equals 43. George Bush Jr. was the US president during 9/11, and he was the 43rd US president. Robert Edward Lee was a Confederate general during the American Civil War who surrendered during the US Civil War, and he was born in 1807 on 19/1, the 19th of January. George Bush Jr. and his father, George Bush Sr., were members of Skull and Bones, and Skull and Bones turns 191 years old this year, and 191 is the 43rd prime. And we have Robert Edward Lee, guys. Look at his child here, George Washington Custis Lee. George Washington was the first US president, guys. The guy who was born 2/22. And 9/11 occurred exactly 222 months before coronavirus was declared a global pandemic. Here's confirmation, Robert Edward Lee. was born 191, the 19th of January, the 43rd prime. And here we can see George Washington was born 222. George Washington was an American military officer, statesman, and founding father who served as the first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797. There's so many George references. Look how his presidential term began April the 30th, 1789, and Adolf Hitler died April the 30th, 1945. The Church of Satan was founded in San Francisco on April the 30th, 1966, exactly 21 years after Adolf Hitler committed suicide. Look at his height as well, 1.87 meters. And then you have Robert Edward Lee, who was born 1807, 187, and died 1870, 187. Now look what happens when you type in Adolf Hitler into the Gematrinator. 187, 187, 187. Okay, 187. Now look what happens when you type in Society of Jesus. You will see the 187. You'll also see the 191, the 43rd prime. It's incredible, guys, how coded our reality is. The GOAT Tom Brady made his NFL debut in 2001, 12 days after 9/11. And he won his last ever Super Bowl at age 43, and he won the first Super Bowl after 9/11 with the Patriots, New England Patriots, right after the Patriots Act was signed after 9/11. So if you want to know why Brady won his last Super Bowl at age 43, now you know. It's connected to Civil War. It's connected to Skull and Bones. Super Bowl 57, which was played shortly after Brady retired, was played on the 43rd day of the year on Abraham Lincoln's 214th birthday. Queen Elizabeth II, who died September the 8th, 2022, was born on 21/4, the 21st of April. Abraham Lincoln was an American lawyer, politician, and statesman who served as the 16th president of the United States from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. Lincoln's legacy is based on his momentous achievements. He successfully waged a political struggle and civil war that preserved the Union, ended slavery, and created the possibility of civil and social freedom for African Americans. Just know Abraham Lincoln was working for Satan. Super Bowl 57 and Abraham Lincoln's 214th birthday was on a day leaving 322 days left in the year. Skull and Bones are also known as Order 322. 3 plus 2 plus 2 equals 7, which makes sense why Brady retired with 7 rings. Yale is the home of Skull and Bones, and this year Yale turns 322 years old. It was founded in 1701. The Georgia Guidestones were erected 43 years ago in 1980 on 322, and they came down recently in 2022 on 7/6 on George Bush Jr.'s 76th birthday. In Gematria, Skull and Bones equals 76. 7 times 6 equals 42. And the Beast of Revelation reigns for 42 months. Why do you think in 2022 the NBA Finals finished 4-2? The World Series finished 4-2. The Stanley Cup Final finished 4-2. And the 2022 FIFA World Cup Final was decided by a penalty shootout in which Argentina won 4-2. In Gematria, guys, war equals 42. World War equals 42. Argentina and England fought in the Falklands War, which began April the 2nd, 4-2. Albert Pike predicted there would be 3 world wars. He died April the 2nd, 4-2. It's time to start paying attention to me, guys. Foreshadowing. In 2016, Captain America Civil War was released, which happened to be the year Donald Trump was voted in to become the president of the US. And I believe he will become the 47th US president, which I said over 2 years ago. And then we will see true anarchy. Okay, you see the blue and the red here, the Democrats, the Republicans, okay? We're witnessing the true divide, guys, of blue and red in the US. We're truly seeing that. Joe Biden was put in there by design, okay? The US is collapsing. Donald Trump will be the hero. Anybody at this point is going to do a better job than Joe Biden in the mind and hearts of most Americans. What most people don't recognize, guys, is the upcoming president of the US will be the president whilst the US is experiencing a civil war. Captain America as well, Tom Brady's been given that nickname. This is so deep. Look at the pentagram here as well, which connects to Satan. And I don't think it's a coincidence, guys, that the upcoming Euro 2024 championships will take place in Germany and begin on Donald Trump's 78th birthday. All right? Donald Trump is actually Donald Trump. He's German. His great-grandmother, Elizabeth Christ Trump, died 66 in Bavaria, which is where the Illuminati were founded. So here's basically the concept of this movie. Friction arises between the Avengers when one group supports the government's decision to implement a law to control their powers while the other opposes it. We know where the world's going now, guys, with George Orwell with his book 1984, okay? Where the government wants to control everything, including our mind. And that's why we keep hearing about the chip with Elon Musk. We are living out George Orwell's book 1984. And if you haven't read that book, you have to read it. I can't believe all the George symbolism. You've got George Orwell, you've got the Georgia Guidestones, you've got George Bush Sr., you've got George Bush Jr., you've got George Floyd, you've got St. George's flag, you've got Prince George. The list goes on, guys. It's remarkable. England under 21s just won the tournament by winning the final in Georgia. It's remarkable how coded our reality is. Trump was the 45th US president and he aims to become the 47th. 4,547 is the 616th prime and 616 is the alternate number of the beast. This is beyond biblical and that's what most people can't comprehend. The reason now people are suffering from so much mental health issues and depression is because of demonic entities that are living amongst us now, that are revealing themselves to us. Satan is revealing himself to the world, yet most people dismiss that. The death of George Floyd led to civil unrest in the US in 2020. America's reckoning with racism brought down statues, one state flag, and one police emblem. All right? The Albert Pike statue got taken down. Though Pike was depicted as a Mason, guys, just know that George Washington was a 33-degree Mason. Though Pike was depicted as a Mason, not a soldier, the memorial stirred controversy for decades. In June 2020, the statue of Pike was toppled and burned by protesters responding to the murder of George Floyd. So Albert Pike, who predicted there will be 3 world wars, I told you he died 4-2, and he died Washington, D.C., where the White House is. He died 4-2, guys, and he believes that there's going to be 3 world wars and war equals 42, world war equals 42. It's absolute insanity. He was born 1229, the 201st prime. All right, the Jesuit order equals 201. 201's huge. Tom Brady threw 201 yards in his last ever Super Bowl. Argentina and France got to the World Cup final. They had 201 records in the group stages. Messi stayed in room 201 in Qatar. Pope Francis resided in suite 201 in the Vatican. Supposedly, man went to the moon the 201st day of 1969. It's absolutely remarkable. Pele died 1229 last year. I predicted in 2021 Pele would die in 2022, and he did. And he did. Shortly after Messi won the World Cup with Argentina. Now, don't get me started on Avengers Endgame. The whole movie is about depopulation. That's what that movie is about. After Thanos, an intergalactic warlord, disintegrates half of the universe, the Avengers must reunite and assemble again to reinvigorate their trounced allies and restore balance. Guys, the Georgia Guidestones focused on restoring balance. Alright, restoring balance. They called for the world's population to be capped at 500 million. Okay? 500 million. We're told right now there's about 8 billion people living here. So that would result in 7.5 billion people dying. Alright, it's interesting that the number one pick in the NBA, who recently did the Baphomet celebration, is 7'5". It's interesting that the 2022 FIFA World Cup began on Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's 75th year wedding anniversary, which so happened to be Joe Biden's 80th birthday. Guys, the civil war in the US will take place right before World War III truly kicks off. But remember that God wins. This is biblical now. This code, there's next to nobody in the world that can do this. And you know that. Alright? God is guiding me at this point. I'm telling you where the world's going. It's not just about me getting 80-85% sports picks correct every month. It's much more than that. Alright? A civil war's coming. And I know most people are just going to say it's inevitable with what happened with George Floyd. They don't understand it's all coded. They don't understand that it can't be stopped. Alright? God wins. Satan's reigning. Alright? Satan is the God of this world. If you understand scripture, you're aware of that. But ultimately, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. But many people are going to go down with him. Alright? So now is the time to pick up a Bible, study scripture, and connect with God. Because time is running out at this point. There's no doubt in my mind that revelation is playing out. So please share this. Please support my work. And God bless you all. God wins.